Okay, hello and welcome to this month's devlog. So yeah, I'm gonna go straight to the point on this one. I want to make it very short. So the first item is, of the things that I did for this month is bug fixing. Um, somewhat a somewhat amount of bug fixing. I found out that Electron breaks more often than not. So I updated to Electron 36, and which I think is the latest. Maybe there's a new latest. I don't know. And I was having some performance issues with shadows, which I didn't have before, and like just bug shadows, not even filter ones. So that was kind of like that was annoying. And but I noticed that on a different build that I had with the previous version, which is the 34, it was not having that problem, and so it turned out to be the reason behind it. I don't know the exact details on that end, and but yeah. So that's one of the a few bug fixes. There was another glitch when zooming in and out. I only experienced that on this Mac. This is a newer Mac, so which has an M4 chip, and I guess I don't know. There's some difference in the way that things are handled. Um, there was some glitching as well, and I disabled a wheel change property in the canvas. So because that's something that can be adjusted via settings. Like for now, I'm just like always enabling like the slow performance option, which it is slower, but you don't get the glitches if you turn it on. So stuff like that, annoying stuff. And the other major thing that I did is I actually decided to use TypeScript for the front end as well. If you watch the previous video, you know that I talked about using TypeScript and how it's an optional thing. Well, it's still an optional thing, but you now get Bun on the Ohm system by default. I decided to have a script, which I'm going to show you, that essentially pulls the latest binary for Bun for your operating system, and then you just essentially use that on your host system, and you get a bunch of features just by doing that. You get a server, you get a what is this thing? How annoying! You get a server, you get a bundler, you get a transpiler, you get a bunch of different tools for a bundle for a binary that you download. So I'm pretty happy about that. So now let me show you how that looks actually. So there's this new folder here called bin, and I'm not sure if the FFmpeg binary is found within the Electron build so that we could use it from outside. I'm gonna take a look later if that's even possible. I think it should be. I think I've seen the binary, at least the DLL or something. The library. But anyways, this is where those type of things would go. And so I updated also like some of the naming conventions that I was having. So yeah, for folders and for code. So essentially, if we take a look at this TypeScript file, this one actually might not be very updated. But essentially, what I have decided to do is functions are going to be camel case and variables are going to be snake case. I just find it to be easy for me to be like that. I immediately know if something is a variable or a constant, and I'm able to see if something is a function. So yeah, I'm playing with that, and yeah, types are still in like the capital camel case. I don't know how you say that. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, as you can see, we have this main TypeScript file, and this is for the home space. So that would be this space that we're running here, and this is using TypeScript. And because we're bundling this with Bun, we essentially get aliases, which are pretty handy. It makes it cleaner. We get obviously type checking, and now the language server is able to understand what's happening. Yeah, the way that this works is it's kind of funny. So if I open my system folder here, and we open the Electron entry point file, we have this bundle all function, and this comes from this module, the bundler module, and it's just a wrapper that you can access. I mean, I haven't created any Electron handlers, but I can create an Electron handler to expose this function or this other function or whatever, so that even the front end can call the bundling features of Bun, which is pretty handy. This is pretty easy. Like, actually, the way that I want to set it up is not like this, where you have a CLI version of Bun, but rather we would pass in something like a build script, right? So build.ts, and this build.ts file would essentially allow you to have a more advanced bundler if you need to have one. In our case, we just want to really take an entry file from a space or an overlay, which has the same structure as a space. It's just think of it as a web page. And so you take the entry point, and then you say it's for the browser in this format, source maps, and then the directory, which is that space folder here. So that would be the whole folder here. And we have this main JavaScript file, which has all of those contents. And yeah, that's it. And so we bundle all of it for every space on the first load of Electron. So we'll bundle everything, and then we create the home window. It's essentially booting up, if you think about it in some way. So it's very simple. And yeah, we just bundle that and we serve that. And that's cool because now we have a lot of different tools that would be available by using TypeScript. And it also essentially adds support for node modules and the package manager dependencies if you want, but I'm not gonna ship something that requires you to run a bun install or npm install command. I wanna ship something that doesn't have that. Let me close this. So let's see. So yeah, there's a lot of features. I actually eventually want to move to having Bun be the main runtime. I would love to eventually move away from Electron and having a custom Chromium build, and have a Bun interface with that, and even eventually replace the main renderer so that we don't render this space using a browser, but we actually render it on a different renderer, custom made renderer. That's very much on the large, the long-term goals that I have, right? And I think I will continue to be using TypeScript for the for the user-facing stuff, customizations, applets, and stuff like that. And then obviously we need the power of native compiled code. And so yeah, I would love to make a renderer that's actually performant and is dedicated for this, while keeping the customizability of the browser model and TypeScript, etc. So that's kind of the direction that I'm moving in. The browser is just a very crucial part of operating systems nowadays. Everyone knows that in the medium. I mean, a lot of the work that I've been doing this month is mostly on IMA, which is the reactive library that I use that to replace Van.js, which like it's a replacement for any front end reactive library like React or something else. And yeah, it's looking good. There's bugs that I keep finding every once in a while, but this is very early. But it's the usability is getting better, and I'm also like understanding the mechanics of it in practice better, if that makes sense. Like I'm able to detect patterns on like how to use IMA. That's very interesting. Like working on a frame budget makes me think differently about how to build UIs. Just like in video games, right? But like we were not used to that in the web development realm. So that it's interesting to think about it this way. I think it translates better. Like if I eventually move to like a native renderer, it makes more sense to like grow accustomed to thinking about frames rather than events and a DOM tree and so on. So yeah, updates there. And so yeah, most of these things actually come from the work that I've been doing recently for a game engine that I'm making with my cousin, and we wanna that's a product that we wanna release, and we've been working on that for some time now. We haven't formally announced it, and we are gonna launch it in the next few months or so. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It's gonna be really cool if you're into game development. So because this game engine is mainly web based, I thought, okay, I'll use this architecture that uses Electron to build it, and so it's like the very first use case for what a workspace application would look like, if that makes sense. So you would essentially you would essentially have two options: to download the standalone version, which is essentially just this, like an Electron app with this architecture, or just the space module, that doesn't include the Electron binaries, but it's just like the space, and so you just like install that on your existing system. And so by the time I release this, those two options are going to be available, so it's kind of like a dual launch in a way. And so yeah, I mean, my work there has essentially required me to build a little by little build a UI library and a theming system and a settings system, right? Because that's this game engine is like as customizable as OM itself is, right? It has the same architecture and ideology in mind. So I have a little video here of a preview. I'm not showcasing any thing that would spoil this too much, but it's essentially a workspace where you can manage different file types like sprites and sounds and files, and you have settings that you can toggle, and there's a lot of things. And so there's like we have selects here, and there's context menus that you can pop up. You have a more traditional windowing setup, which is not the exact same as the applet setup with the infinite canvas that I have. And so yeah, there's like a lot of different things for this. And so I'm just using that as a use case to know what I need to build for myself. And it's been really cool. Like working with IMA and working with this mindset is really have been fun. And customizability is awesome also. Like it's very fun to work with that. So what I'm thinking is, so yes, I'm building like a UI library that you can reuse for any project, but also a theming system that extends or like goes hand by hand with the UI library, that allows you to like if you were gonna make a workspace or a tool, an app, whatever, and you use this UI library, like essentially it doesn't mean that you'll have to stick with our theming or our styles, but you can essentially make a theme that will allow you to customize that, and not only you as a developer but also the users of your tool. So that's like everyone has power, for customization, and that's really cool. That means that your app can have a very distinct style, and not only that, but like people can make themes for your app, and kind of like have an ecosystem of themes. And a similar system I'm starting to like conceptualize for settings, and I don't have a lot to say about that other than I'm starting to work with that end. But I also want it to be easy to be like, okay, I'm gonna build an app, and like it's like customization first, right? It's a customization first system, in the sense that it's easy to make an app that is customizable like from the beginning, right? So that's kind of like the intention behind this work. And yeah, I'm gonna continue to work on these things, mainly for the game engine, and apply those to this system. Yeah, like I'm not migrating everything immediately to this own repository, because I'm moving faster on the game engine, and so like right now you could say that my source of truth is more like it's like a mix between the game engine and Ohm, and so it's I'm keeping both kind of like synchronized in some way, but once we launch this game engine, then that means that this is also going to reach a point of stability that's helpful, so yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I don't have anything else to show, I think. I was going to talk about some other ideas, but like some PRs that I found interesting on, I wonder if I can Command C into it now. There was a PR that I was paying attention to for Electron, which is, I think I closed it. Yeah. Anyways, for like the getting access to a shared video texture from the renderer process, so that would mean that essentially you could have a backend that I don't know, like captures windows or does some kind of like custom thing, and then puts that into a video texture, and you can access that via the renderer on Electron. But that hasn't been merged yet, and I just think it's interesting work. But yeah, this is it, and I'll see you in the next month.